There's a difference between liking a house and actually getting it. Redfin is built to make up that difference and close the gap between finding and owning the home for you. Redfin agents close twice as many deals as other agents. So when you find a home you love, you're not a step behind when it comes to making an offer. That means less watching great homes disappear and more focus on the one you'll call home. Redfin helps turn saved listings into real addresses. Get started at redfin.com. Own the dream.
Oh yeah, look at my life. Hey now, hey now, yeah.
Hey now.
Oh yeah, look at my life out here on the road. Oh yeah, look at my life. Hey now, yeah. Oh yeah, look at my life out here on the road.
Hey now! Hi, everybody, and happy Friday. Welcome to Scott Fox After 9. Today is Friday. It is a listener DMs episode on the first day of spring. And for the Friday DMs, I will bring in the great Anna Almeida. How you doing, Anna?
I'm good. How are you?
Very good, thank you. I'm glad you could join me, and I got real good feedback on the episode that you were on the other day.
Oh, that makes me so happy. It was an honest conversation about diet culture, tipping culture, and everything in between. So I'm happy I could join you. So thank you.
I'm glad you could be here. We're going to do some DMs coming up in a second. But first off, I know there's people who are tuning in because they want to hear my take on Pierre Poilievre's interview on Joe Rogan. You intentionally didn't listen to it yet.
No, I didn't, because I knew I was going to be in the car today for a lot longer, for well over an hour, driving to a cottage. And I like listening to podcasts straight through. I hate things being broken up, and yesterday that's what would have happened. So I asked you not to tell me anything. I've seen a couple highlights, but that's about it. But I did hear that he did very well.
You know what? It was good. He was professional. He was humble. I'll give you a couple of examples of the professionalism, though, in particular. Number one, he stood by his policy where he refuses to criticize the sitting prime minister while he's on foreign soil. I think that's a classy policy. And I think that, we can have our internal problems here, but we don't put that dirty laundry out to the rest of the world. And I think it was very important that he stuck to that. Even Joe Rogan respected that. So I thought that was good. If anybody's wondering, how can I just get a good part? I'll tell you what, if you want to see just the best of Pierre on that interview, go to the final 5 minutes when Pierre is talking about getting government out of people's lives and how government should just do a few things really well, and everything else, you got to let people make their own choices. Very, very good, the last 5 minutes. But I think the part that everybody is talking about, this is only 25 seconds out of a much larger conversation, but listen to this.
Then Trump came along and said he was going to turn Canada into the 51st state, and everybody went crazy. Is that accurate?
I wouldn't say they went crazy. I mean, it was.
They got very upset.
They should be upset, though. I mean,
well, it's a crazy thing to say.
It is a crazy thing to say. Canada's not for sale. We're never going to be the 51st state. We're very proudly Canadian, so we're never going to be the 51st state. And I just wish he'd knock that shit off.
Kind of nice to hear him kind of let loose a little bit.
I loved hearing him curse. I don't know, maybe it's because I have a potty mouth, but I just feel like that's such real conversations. He's on a format where you can just speak your mind and say what you need to say, and I'm happy he felt like he could. You know what?
I'm glad, though, that he got that on the record. I'm glad he said that, because I think that's the way a lot of people feel. Knock that shit off. Yeah, we're not joining you. We're not going to be part of the union. We're not going to be the 51st state. We're a sovereign country. You're a sovereign country. Now let's stop screwing around and get a deal done. And Pierre was very good at selling what Canada has that America needs. So my message to you, everyone, is if you tuned in to hear the recap of Pierre on Joe, because I did promise I would give you just the good parts, it's going to come out maybe this weekend, probably Monday is when I'm going to put that out. I just don't have time today because it's busy. And I have my dog here today.
I know, Charlie. He's been our third co-host this morning on our radio show, and he's just the cutest little thing. I just love him. We should hire him full time. He should be with us every morning.
You know, if you can get a dog that makes money, that's fantastic. Before we get too far into this episode, though, and I promise we'll get to the DMs in a sec. Anna, the other day we were having a conversation and Ozempic came up.
Yes.
And you were talking about how you wanted it, but your doctor shut it down.
Truthfully, and I know I shouldn't say that out loud, and people have judged me for it, but that's okay. It was honest, and I have had issues with weight up and down, and as of recent as well, I feel like I can't lose these last 10 pounds, and I've had the winter blues, and yeah, if there's this magical pill that could have helped me lose those pesky 10 pounds, I honestly would have been open for it, but it's up to me and those who take it then to maintain it, you know, go to the gym and put in the extra work.
Well, one of the things that I've noticed is there seems to be a lot of people that don't appear to be obese taking the drug, and I got got a lot of DMs specifically about these GL, whatever they are, weight loss drugs the other day.
Yep.
And I was shocked that there are Hollywood stars who were taking Ozempic to get ready for the Oscars and stuff.
They
and I thought,
microdose.
how the hell did you get that? Like, it's supposed to be for specific circumstances. But lo and behold, a very good friend of mine who's been on the pod before, talking about something completely unrelated, has actually been through that. So, Anna, I'm going to bring in my friend Mark here. Mark is basically, he's figured out some hacks when it comes to online dating. You might actually like some of those.
Yes, because I'm on Hinge and on Bumble. I have not had any luck. So if he has any pieces of advice, I'll happily take it, because also meeting somebody organically out and about is just not working for me either.
Mark, was that your experience? Like, you seem to have pretty good luck online.
Well, if you recall, I did go through about 100 dates, but I had this process streamlined, so I never really had a bad one. So
Streamline the process. I love it.
I'll give Anna a few tips later on. Maybe we can set up her profile and see if we can get her some success.
Okay, I'm interested to know what I'm doing wrong here, and I'm sure there are some things. So,
anybody, if you want to hear that episode, go back and listen to it, because it was really good. It was back in like the spring or summer. But Mark, that's not the reason I wanted to talk to you today. You actually figured out how to get these drugs without actually going to see a doctor.
Yeah, so I mean, I was curious. I went through Christmas time, gained a few extra pounds, and then I saw an ad come up, and I was like, you know what? Let me try this. So clicked on the link, went through sort of the process. They ask, your name, your age, your weight, what your goal is, how many pounds you want to lose. And basically I was able to set myself up with, so they'll give you an option, which of the ones you want. So they have, Ozempic, they have Wegovy, they have Mounjaro. I decided to try Rybelsus, because Rybelsus is just the pill version. So there's no injection, it's the pill version. So I decided to try it. So you fill everything out. I did have to lie a little bit, because in order for you to get this, you have to have a BMI over 30 or a BMI over 27 with high blood pressure. So I kind of had to lie. I kind of had to do a little bit of calculations on my own to punch in my age, my height, and my weight to get me a BMI of 30. So I had to add about 15 pounds to my current weight. But I'm not specifically overweight. I do have a significant amount of muscle mass. But BMI is a terrible calculation, because it's basically calculated on your age, your height, and your weight. It doesn't account for anything else. So I lied a little bit, added a few extra pounds to it, and basically got it. So for the first step, they'll send you a 3 milligram dose, and that's for the month. You start taking it. You kind of want to get the drug in your system. After the month, they'll upgrade you to 7 milligrams, and then after that, they'll upgrade you to 14 milligrams. So 14 milligrams is the equivalent of 2 milligrams. 14 milligrams of Rybelsus is the equivalent of 2 milligrams of Ozempic. There are some requirements once you get past the first and second stage. So the first stage, it says you have to submit a picture of yourself, you have to send a copy of your driver's license, and you have to send a blood test. But they don't enforce that for the first part or the second part. But in order to get the third part, which is going from 7 milligrams to 14, you do have to actually send in a blood test and a picture of yourself. And you can't use an old picture, because they say in the picture, hold up 3 fingers so we know it's your current picture. But you're taking the picture. They do say wear, tight clothing, but you technically can add a little bit of cushioning here and there. What I actually did is I took the picture long ways and then actually shrank it a little bit. So I looked and I fit and ended up getting it.
Wow.
And
you got it without even a doctor looking at you or talking to you in person. You just lied and they sent it to you.
Yeah. Now, these guys are clearly out to make money. Mm-hmm. So the company that was actually administering the drug was Hims and Hers. That was the actual sort of online pharmacy thing that's doing it. But the reason I found out that the reason I felt that they were more concerned about their bottom line than they were about the actual my well-being is it says we'll send you a thing after 30 days. Well, lo and behold, after 14 days, they're like, your next set is ready.
Wow.
And they would send you something that said, it's ready, you're ready for payment. And they sent that follow-up about 4 times over 2 days. Like, they were, hustling for that payment. So I ended up upgrading from 3 to 7. And again, they sent me a 30-day supply. Not more than 14 days later, they're like, your next one is ready. And I was like, these guys are just pushing. I haven't even finished the first dose, the second dose, and here they're pushing for the third. And again, 3 times a day, they're like, your payment is ready, your thing is ready, your thing is ready. And I was like, these guys are really pushing, to get this drug out. And like Scott, like you said, I hadn't seen a doctor. I hadn't physically talked to anybody. There's no online sort of chat or no like WebMD or anything. I just kind of went and got it.
I just can't believe how easy it is.
Yeah.
Like, what other drugs are they prescribing online where you don't even talk to a doctor?
Yeah, I mean, I was blown away how easy it was. Anybody could really do it. I'm not suggesting you do. However, when I did talk to my doctor about 6 months ago, I was like, well, what are your thoughts on this? Trying to get his feel. He goes, if you have a BMI over 35, where obesity is your main problem, taking the drug would be beneficial for you because the small side effects that come with the drug are far better than being obese.
Mm-hmm.
As you lower your weight, you will lower your insulin, you will lower your blood sugar, you will lower everything. If you're pre-diabetic, you'll come off that. All this stuff will get better. So you're better off taking it if you're really big. That will have less side effects than the side effects of being obese.
Wild. Mark, thanks for the info.
Yeah, man. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, no problem.
That's
Hey,
simple.
we're going to touch base soon, and I'm going to get you back into, we got to do dating, and we got to talk credit cards, too, because Mark has got some incredible ways to manipulate the credit card system so that you can get a lot of stuff for free.
And also find me my Prince Charming, though.
I'll do my best.
All right, buddy. Thanks for your time. I appreciate you.
You guys have a great show. Thank you.
Thank you, buddy.
Bye.
Mark is great. Really
So
good
interesting, though.
to have him on. All right, Anna, let's get to the listener DMs.
All right, they're all really good, okay? So first up, we're going to start off with Amanda. She says, I'm almost done listening to the podcast, and I'm, mind blown. In a good way. I learned so much about Pierre Poilievre, and I'm convinced, not that I wasn't before, that he's the right choice for our country and deserves a chance. He's well-spoken, his plans seem well thought out, and he feels like the first PM candidate in 10 years who can actually relate to the middle class and understands it. He might be our best chance to start fixing our country. What I especially love is his knowledge. You can tell he does his research and is very intelligent. A lot of people mock his experience, but if they actually listen to him, they'd see how smart he really is. I pray we get an election and Canada finally gets it right.
I read a lot of feedback like that yesterday. People that watched the Pierre interview right away as soon as it dropped. And that's sort of what I'm hearing a lot of. There's sort of two camps. There's those who are shutting it down and discounting it and trying to find anything wrong with it they can. And I don't really see a lot wrong with what he said. He was preaching a very simple message. Canada and the U.S. need to remain separate but work together. Canada has what the U.S. needs, and we're stronger together. And government needs to get out of people's lives. Those were his messages. Oh, and we need to stop printing money. It is so bad for us. And I don't know what there is to disagree with, but some people are nitpicking every little word. He talked too much about sports and yada, yada, yada. Whatever. It is what it is. It was a 2-hour interview, and it needed to have some ebbs and flows to it. So I don't fault him for going into the UFC stuff. I think what he did say generally was common sense. And I'll tell you one thing. There's a hell of a lot of Americans that are wondering how they can adopt Pierre Poilievre and make him American, because they would love to have a president like him as opposed to the president they have.
Well, their president, if I can say, is a little out to lunch. So
He is a little out to lunch.
That's the nicest way to say it.
A little bit.
It's just the nicest way. All right, so we have Kirk. He writes, hey, great show. I'll admit it. I'm a bit of a fence sitter. I voted both ways in the past and probably will again. First, Pierre Poilievre's policy announcement is an interesting idea. That said, I'm not convinced the current U.S. immigration is very interested in making a deal that would benefit Canada. As for mainstream media and what was said in Windsor, I'm not sure what you meant. I did hear about the speech and I listened to some commentary. Lastly, I'm disappointed that Mark Carney doesn't seem to have much done in Canada to make life easier for Canadians. The sad part is, with the majority government, something that also looks likely, I don't see much help coming in that aspect. I do hope the Conservatives start to introduce more common sense ideas and avoid the kind of name calling we saw with Justin Trudeau.
I don't know what to say to that. I mean, that's all over the place, that message. It covered like 5, 6, 7 different points there. Listen, the name calling, I don't even know what he means there. Pierre's Windsor speech, where he laid out his plan for an auto policy. Yeah, I mean, I thought it was a very good plan. Not everybody likes it. It's at least a start. Where's Mark Carney's plan? He's still never put one out. Never. Mark Carney has never put out a plan for how to solve the auto sector trade dispute with America. So at least Pierre's got something out there. When it comes to What else did he say in there, Anna?
Well, the floor crossing, basically.
Oh, the floor crossing.
Yeah, he's disappointed because Carney hasn't done much for Canada.
The floor crossing, there's people who think, oh, Carney's going to get a majority and there won't be an election for 4 years. I don't see it that way. I still firmly believe. We were supposed to be voting this spring. And had the Iran thing not happened, we would be. That's the only reason that we are not having an election right now. As far as this year, there's going to be an election this year. I'm telling you right now, friends, there's going to be an election in 2026. It's likely going to happen in the fall. Floor crossers, to give them a majority, it's such a thin majority. Somebody misses a day, they're sick, and they skip the vote, and they lose a house, or they lose a confidence vote. That could happen. Somebody dies. Somebody gets a political appointment to something else, and the seats change again. There's a lot of ways that we could be having an election soon. And I think that Carney wants one. I think he wanted one this spring. Trump screwed that up for him. So he's going to call one in the fall. And I don't think people need to get too discouraged. We're going to be having an election this year.
All right. G writes, hey, the Liberals held back bail reform because their priority was Bill C-9. If you watch Poilievre, like I do, it was especially discouraging to see what the government was prioritizing instead of the issues affecting citizens. What are your thoughts on how this government seems to prioritize mediocre results, sometimes even policies that may harm citizens, rather than meaningful changes and bills that protect people and hold those who break the law accountable?
They're not interested in holding people accountable. They're not. If they were, they would have passed the bail reform on day one. The Conservatives offered to help them. I mean, this is such an asinine point. We are living in a lawless society in a lot of different ways. We got foreign interference left, right, and center. It's a mess what's going on here right now. People are being robbed in the middle of the street. Home invasions everywhere. Carjackings, like you name it. It is a mess. We could have fixed it. If the Liberals were interested in fixing it, they would have. There's now been, we're into the second session of Parliament, and nothing is getting done. If they wanted to prioritize it, they would. So since they haven't, you have to assume they're not interested in doing that. They're kicking the can as far down the road as they can for whatever reason. I don't understand what the strategy is, because if I'm a Liberal looking around at the people that I need to vote for me, I'm not counting on the criminals to cast a ballot. I'm counting on regular citizens to do it, and it's the regular citizens that are angry. The fact that they won't pass this, there must be a strategy to it, but hell, I can't figure out what it is, Anna. Unless they just want lawlessness. That's entirely possible, too. Sometimes the chaos gets people scared, and when people are scared, they rally behind the government they know. Maybe that's the strategy. But otherwise, I mean, regular people are getting fed up here. They want bail reform. They want people who commit a crime to not be released back onto the street the same day. Yeah. You know, you should be waiting in custody if you did something wrong. And if we end up with too many people in custody, then build more jails or figure out what's causing the crime. There's a lot of crime happening right now because people are broke. This was very, very, very predictable. I called it over a year ago. When the economy gets bad, crime thrives. Mm-hmm. It's been like that since the beginning of time. Mm-hmm. We knew this was coming, and they did nothing to prepare for it. So I can only assume that they want it this way.
And it is scary because even that most recent house invasion where the house owner shot one of the three that broke into his home in Vaughan, one of the suspects, I believe, was out on bail or on probation.
Yeah, he was on probation. What the hell are we doing here?
Right?
If you're on, it wasn't that long ago that if you committed a crime while you were on probation, no questions asked. You were going to be sitting in a jail cell in custody until your court date or until trial or until a judge said otherwise. It's not like that anymore. You can get bail 2, 3, 4, 5 times. It's nuts.
It's disgusting. It's terrible. All right. Next up, we have Rob. Hey, Scott, we need more Judy Trend types asking questions of the Liberals. I am so tired of hearing wages, that they're going up. I haven't seen my wage go up since before COVID. My wife has been searching for a job in healthcare for 7 months now. Over 100 applications. Only responses she has received is from 2 who mislisted their ad for KW and was actually on the other side of the province. Time for media to cut through the Liberal BS.
Okay, so I think Rob is referring there to the question that Judy Trinh asked last weekend. Judy is a reporter with CTV and she travels with the Prime Minister. She asked a loaded question. She said, hey, it's now been a year that you've been in office and Canadians are noticing. Nothing you promised has come true. Nothing you said you were going to do is done. Why doesn't the rest of the media ask hard questions like that? You know, I'm no fan of Doug Ford anymore, but I'll tell you, when he does a news conference, he gets asked challenging questions. When Pierre Poilievre talks to the media, they go after him. Danielle Smith, when she gets asked a question, it's aggressive from the media. They don't do that to the prime minister. It's all softballs, and it's for one of two reasons. Either they want to protect him or they want to protect their access to the prime minister's office. And it's neat. Hey, if you're out there on those prime minister's junkets, you're living a pretty good life. You have very little work to do. You're flying around first class, eating world-class meals on the plane. You're staying in nice hotels. You have a lot of free time. You're socializing with your colleagues, seeing places you'd probably never go on your own. It's a good existence. I think there's a lot of reporters that like their perks and don't want to piss off the prime minister's office, so they don't even ask tough questions. Well, that doesn't serve the people very well. The media has a responsibility to hold the government to account. In reality, they only hold conservative governments to account and federally the conservative opposition to account, but not the actual government. It's bizarre. I think it's coordinated on some level. I think that they like their perks. That's definitely part of it. And I think that they're in on it. Like, I think they think that if God forbid, Prime Minister Carney loses the next election, they're going to lose all their funding and lose their jobs. In their mind, they're fighting for their jobs by being nice to the prime minister. It's very counterintuitive, but I don't know. Hopefully Canadians see it. Like, when you watch the news, you just have to accept you're not being told the news, you're being told a story. And the reporter is the narrator. And when you're the narrator, literally, you control the narrative. And they try and spin people or lead them in a certain direction, whether you realize it or not. That's what's going on. So always watch the news with a critical lens. And our media really needs to do better. Like, come on. If they were half as hard on Prime Minister Carney as they are on the opposition leader, we'd be in a different place.
And I believe it's Rob again with a follow-up question.
There's actually multiple Robs, so it could be a different one.
All right, there you go. This is maybe another Rob, right? So Dougie is going to take the $3 billion he saved from OSAP and put $3 billion into jails. Makes sense. We all know areas with lower education have higher crime rates. This guy is so out of touch. Wait, it's not even out of touch anymore. He's just a moron. We need a provincial election just as badly as a federal one with a new Ontarian conservative leader.
I don't know if we need an election, but I don't necessarily disagree that the Ontario Conservatives need a new leader. I think Doug is flailing right now. He got really rocked by this scandal about not releasing his phone records and details on certain things that people want, trying to stifle freedom of information requests. I don't think that he expected the backlash to be as bad as it has been. And I also think he underestimated how angry middle-class families were going to be about his OSAP cuts. And then chastising students for the classes they take. There's a lot of things that are going wrong in Doug Ford world right now, and he's throwing out Hail Mary after Hail Mary. Today, apparently, he's going to announce he's going after scalpers. You won't be able to resell a ticket for more than what you actually paid for it. Okay, well, a couple of things on that. Number one, he promised that months ago when the Blue Jays were making a run because he wanted a little good PR out of that. Number two, there's no apparent reason to do it now other than he's been saving that one for when his poll numbers were bad. He's literally throwing out anything he can to distract away from the Freedom of Information scandal, his phone records scandal, the Greenbelt scandal is going to come back up again soon. Like, there is just so many of them out there, and Doug doesn't want to be accountable. He'll never sit down the way Pierre Poilievre did on Joe Rogan. If Doug Ford sat down with me and answered questions in the exact same format, I shouldn't even suggest it because he won't do it. And he can't do it. I mean, he just can't sit down and be accountable. It's just not in him. So this is a problem here. The thing is, he's into the third majority mandate. It would be very difficult, even if he was popular, to win 4. The Conservatives need to start thinking about who's next. And if they don't get somebody in place soon and give them a little runway to be premier before the next election in 2029, then they're going to lose it all. They've got to be thinking about a secession plan, unless Doug is going to come to his senses. I'll put the invite out again. I know it's going to fall on deaf ears, but Doug, you should do exactly what your brother did. Come to me, sit down for an interview, and I will help you explain articulately what your strategy is and why families shouldn't be angry with you. I'm livid. You know, I've got my youngest there getting ready to go to university soon. And, you know, there's kids, friends of his that come over to my place all the time. Some of these kids are directly impacted by these OSAP cuts, and Doug doesn't seem to care. It's crazy to me, but I think he's just going to keep throwing out gimmicks, hoping that makes the other scandals go away, rather than put a little sunlight on it and try and disinfect them. Doug, the invite's there. Hey, if you want to do it, call me. You know how to get a hold of me. We've got a few mutual friends. Call me and come in. If you don't want to talk about it, though, frankly, I can't get behind you when you cut OSAP like that. That was a deal breaker for me. And I said it then, and I'm going to say it again. I'm going to ride that guy like a donkey until he fixes it.
Yeah.
Until he fixes it or comes in and explains it. One or the other.
Oh, that would be a great one. Make that happen. I'd like to see that.
It's kind of cowardly, but he won't do it.
Oh,
he won't.
It would be great.
You know, Rob Ford, when the crack scandal was going, when
Yes.
the comments that he made at City Hall were in the news, he was surrounded by scandal. And rather than hide and just throw out a bunch of gimmicks to try and distract people, Rob came and he sat in my studio across from me for an hour and answered every single question I asked him. And after that, my mind was changed and the audience's mind was changed about him. The same thing could happen with Doug, but he's not going to do it. He's not Rob.
Yeah, Rob seems more fearless for sure. All right, we got Keith now. He says, good morning, Brother Scott. I'm listening to today's pod talking about the Premier's stance on drugs. This is Doug Ford. And my question is, why don't we have a mandatory inpatient treatment for those who are constantly being arrested or in the hospital care? Let's say 3 strikes, you're out. Straighten up and get your beep together. It costs fellow Canadians a lot to deal with. This is my stance from Vancouver Island.
Thank you for listening in Vancouver Island. I appreciate you. And being out there, I'm sure you've seen it firsthand because that was ground zero for the experiment with the safe consumption sites. Ontario went in on this. We went all in on it and we funded it until now, just now. Doug is saying, yeah, we're not going to do that anymore. It doesn't work. Well, how much money did you waste trying to figure that out? Why didn't you just take a principled stance from the start? We're not going to supply free drugs and keep enabling addiction. I know that this is a sensitive topic, and I know that there's a couple of different ways to get from A to B, but we tried A to B and it didn't work. So let's try the alternate route now. And the alternate route is trying to help people get off of whatever it is that they're addicted to. That's the way we've got to do it. As far as he's basically suggesting that if you get caught 3 times for drug-related offenses, it's a mandatory inpatient treatment. Basically arresting people for being a drug addict. I don't know if I agree with that. I'd really like to just make it that appealing to get off the drugs that people want to come forward and get treatment because, and the Premier is quite right about this, it affects families. Addiction is just an awful thing, and addicts, they go through various stages of their addiction, and there's a stage, and it's the longest one, where they don't want help.
Yeah.
Incarcerating them, I don't know if that's necessarily the best idea. What, are we going to handcuff them to the bed and watch them detox? I don't know if that's the best way. I don't know what the answer is. I'll defer to people that are much smarter than me about this and the nurses and doctors and professionals that work on this. It's just, I'm glad that we're getting away from the safe consumption sites and moving more towards something that'll actually help people get rid of their addiction.
All right, David.
If that's possible.
Yeah, it would be so nice. David writes, so I have to ask, was the person that submitted the complaint about the lack of support for Doug Ford sent from Doug Ford? That's the only person
I don't know.
Maybe
Maybe he's got a pseudonym or something like that.
He says this is the only person I can see who would still support him.
Yeah.
Doug Ford supporting himself.
I'm not going to relitigate the Doug Ford stuff. Listen, it's I have a personal issue with the way he handled those OSAP cuts and the way he turned on middle class families, because I think that when you're unpopular, the thing you got to divert to is your base. And it was middle class families that put him in the Premier's chair. And he completely smacked him in the face and farted when he walked by, when he made that asinine comment about kids and basket weaving courses and wasting taxpayer money. So listen, that's how I feel about it. I have an absolute bias when it comes to the Premier. Formerly supported him and still will when it makes sense, but when it doesn't make sense, I'm not going to. And frankly, until those OSAP cuts get reversed, I'm not going to change my stance on this, or until he comes in and sits across from me and explains to me and every single person listening why this needed to be done now and why there couldn't be some notice.
Yeah, why you couldn't wait. Oh, man.
And if I'm being honest, I'd also kind of like to know why, if he says he cares about crime and punishment, he doesn't like the bail laws, then why did you support the government that hasn't changed the bail laws? You had an opportunity to support the Conservatives last year, and bail reform was going to be like one of those day one priorities. We had a chance. This could have been fixed a year ago, but he interjected himself into the federal election, and I think that helped change the outcome.
This podcast is sponsored by IQ Bar.
I've got good news and bad news. Here's the bad news. Most protein bars are packed with sugar and unpronounceable ingredients. The good news? There's a better option. I'm Will, and I created IQ Bar plant protein bars to empower doers like you with clean, delicious, low-sugar brain and body fuel. IQ Bars are packed with 12 grams of protein, brain nutrients like magnesium and lion's mane, and zero weird stuff. And right now, you can get 20% off all IQ Bar products, plus free shipping. Try our delicious IQ Bar sampler pack with 7 plant protein bars, 4 hydration mixes, and 4 enhanced coffee sticks. Clean ingredients, amazing taste, and you'll love how you feel. Refuel smarter, hydrate harder, caffeinate larger with IQ Bar.
Go to eatiqbar.com and enter code BAR20 to get 20% off all IQ Bar products plus free shipping. Again, go to eatiqbar.com and enter code BAR20.
All right. Well, Kayla writes, good morning, Scott. I'm just listening to yesterday's episode on my way to work and wanted to comment about walk-in clinics. If you have a family doctor and go to a walk-in clinic, your doctor usually won't be happy. They can actually get charged a claw back on their access bonus. This doesn't happen if patients go to the ER, though, so that might be another reason why people are using the ER for smaller issues. If someone can't get to see their family doctor for something like an ear infection, they either go to the ER or risk being derosted for using a walk-in clinic. This happened to my coworker. Her son had an ear infection, but they couldn't get an appointment with their doctor for 3 weeks, so they went to a walk-in clinic. The next day, the doctor's office called and warned them if they did it again, they would be derostered. Is this specific to Ontario, and how do doctors and how are doctors paid here?
Okay, so I'm not an expert by any means on how OHIP billing gets done. If that's a policy, and I have to think it is, Hannah, because I've heard from a number of people the exact same thing. I have a family doctor. My family doctor couldn't get me in, so I went to the walk-in clinic. Then I got a warning from my doctor that if I do it again, I'll be derostered and I won't have a family doctor anymore.
Yeah.
Whoever came up with that policy or created the framework for that to even be a thing needs to be fired immediately. We want people to get health care right away. And I understand doctors don't want to lose money. But you know what? Frankly, family doctors aren't all that convenient in a lot of cases. Their time gets taken up with a very small amount of patients, and people like myself that might go to the doctor like once a year for a sinus infection or just for an annual checkup, we have to wait weeks to get an appointment with our family doctor. The whole system is screwed up. It could be better. But then we get rules like that where if you go to a walk-in, your family doctor will drop you. That's completely preposterous. We shouldn't be doing that. We should be incentivizing getting people through the system faster. In case anybody forgot, the whole thing is being paid for by us. We're all taxpayers. We pay for this. We want fast treatment. Way better treatment than what we're getting now. If they're going to throw up roadblocks, like if you go to a walk-in clinic, you could lose your family doctor, it makes me wonder what the hell is going on here? Mm-hmm. What is the actual problem, and who thought that was a good idea? Because they should be absolutely fired. Doctors should be paid exceptionally well, but I also expect doctors to work. And, you know, there's a lot of people who might not realize that their family doctor only works half days, 3 days a week, or their family doctor never works on Fridays because they like to golf. Or they go to Florida for 3 months in the summer. There's a lot of different things that get in the way of people having a family doctor. Walk-ins are supposed to bridge the gap, and they're also supposed to help take the pressure off the emergency room. Well, cause and effect here, if you can't get into your family doctor, and you know you're going to get derostered by your family doctor if you go to a walk-in, there's the reason that we've got so many people lined up at the ER for stupid reasons. Whoever came up with that, fix it right now. And not tomorrow, not in a week or a month. Fix it right goddamn now, because that's a huge problem.
And yeah, it's just all around. It's the last thing you want to deal with when you're already in crisis. So.
Imagine that. You pay for health care. Like half your check is taxes in this country. You're paying for a world-class system that is not world-class. It's third world class. You just want to see a doctor. It doesn't matter who it is. It'd be great to see your family doctor, but If you can't get in to see your family doctor, you still got to see a doctor.
And then you can't be upset if we turn to AI for recommendations.
Well, that's the thing. And then the doctor gets upset. Did you chat GPT it? Because if you did, I'll de-roster you. Get the hell out of here. No.
It's crazy.
People just want treatment, and we're the customer, in case anyone forgot. If you're a taxpayer, you're also a customer. And we've got to start, people need to start remembering that. There's only one taxpayer. It's all of us collectively. That's where the money comes from. They got to treat us better.
All right. Well, this is from Anonymous. Scott, I work in admin and was recently asked to write a letter so an employee could get an Ontario health insurance plan card. The employee moved to Ontario from India within the last couple of years, went to school here, and is now working retail because they can't find a job in their field. I'm frustrated, and since I can't say this at work, I'm saying it here. The requirements from Service Ontario are concerning. I had to state the employee is working full-time and will continue for at least 6 months. When I called to ask what full-time means, I was told it's whatever the employer decides. I even asked if someone working just 5 hours a week could be considered full-time. If the employer said so, yeah, they said yes, they could be.
Wow.
That makes the system open to abuse and unfair to people contributing and waiting for care. At the same time, my daughter needs a special ultrasound, and the wait time is 9 months. That's unacceptable. Thanks for letting me vent.
I'm glad you vented. Thank you. Our system is a mess. But you know what? It could be better. We have smart people in the system. It's just I don't think they're the ones making decisions. The whole thing needs to go up on the hoist stand. The whole thing. And everybody needs to remember, the taxpayers are the customer. Healthcare professionals, as much as you're a healthcare professional, you're also in the customer service business. And you should start thinking of it like that. You need to get people in and out as quickly as possible and as happily as possible. People shouldn't be waiting 9 months for an ultrasound. As for somebody who's here and needs a letter from their employer to get OHIP, well, I'm going to assume then that they're not a citizen. If they're not a citizen and they can't get a job in their field, get the hell out of here. Don't write them a letter. Send them back to India. Am I wrong? Like, why are you here? If you can't get a job and you don't have health care, you don't have any status here, what, you're still here because you went to school here? That's not how it works. If you come here to get an education and you're on a student visa, when your degree is obtained, get out. If you want to come back, reapply. That's it. No hanging around, no getting OHIP or anything like that. You're temporarily here. You should have health insurance. You should buy that. You don't get to use OHIP when you're here as a student. Get out of here. The whole system needs to be reformed, Anna. It's a mess.
Yeah. Well, Christian writes, hey, Scott, I'm just listening to yesterday's listener DM about school funding. I'm not an educator, but I am the chair of my son's school council. And I think it's Christian or Christine, one of the two. I spend a fair bit of time at the school running events, and the staff, especially the EAs, are saints. One way to help through council is by approving part of our fundraising to give each teacher money for classroom supplies. We also fund an angel fund to help families who need support paying for field trips.
Yeah.
Since it's all fundraising, we can't always give as much as we'd like. Personally, I also donate my son's old books to the school library and toys he's outgrown to the kindergarten classes. I encourage other parents to consider this as a non-monetary way to help. Getting involved in the school council is also a great way to support both staff and students.
Yep. Parent council is a great thing. They got to do the work. And you know what? It's a thankless job from time to time. But school council or parent council, they raise a lot of money to fund a lot of the operations that go on throughout the school. It's nice that the province is giving that $750 to homeroom teachers. But again, they wouldn't need that if the whole system was properly funded. And right now, I feel like it's not. I feel like there's a lot of money being wasted. The other point there about teachers and EAs being saints. Yeah, EAs should probably be paid a lot more than they are. They do a lot more than I think the average person understands.
Oh, it's true. Very much.
But if you're going to pay EAs more, you also got to pay teachers more. There has to be a difference there. There has to be. There just is. So that's got to happen soon, too.
All right. Well, next up, we have Jay. He writes, hey, Scott, I had a thought about a podcast episode or maybe a 10-minute information session on the pod. I imagine a lot of your listeners, like myself, are around the age of 30, which is the new medium age for purchasing a house. It would be great if you had any connections or experts that could help us make the right decision, inform us on what we need. Let us know if it's the right time to buy, how to plan out a property investment.
Yeah, it's a real good one. I don't even know if anybody could answer that question. Is now a good time to buy a home? And I'll tell you why, because values are dropping like crazy. That's why I still get a kick out of last year's federal election. There were so many boomers. I shouldn't even say boomers. There were so many people that are doing well in life, right? They've got a nice house there and it's paid off or close to it. And they've got okay money coming in every month. And they weren't really worried about anything because they knew that if things got really bad, they could just sell their house and downsize and cash out the equity. Well, now homes are being cut by like half their value in a year. It's insane how much homes are dropping. But that's good for buyers.
Yeah.
The question is, what's rock bottom? Do you want a house that maybe 2 years ago was worth $1 million, might now be worth $700,000? In a year from now, that might be worth $300,000. Homeowners have got to decide when they want to cash out or if they're going to cash out. Because if the market keeps dropping like it is, there's going to be too many people underwater on their mortgage that they're going to be stuck with that house forever and paying for it forever.
Yeah.
If you're looking to get in on the market, I think you need to wait for an interest rate cut. And I think as soon as they cut the rates, jump. But those houses could continue to drop too. So I don't know. The economy isn't great right now. And I don't know that anybody cares or is paying attention, but I care and I'm paying attention. And it's remarkable how much homeowners are losing in equity, especially when they thought, this is my retirement fund. My house is worth $1 million. I'll take $1 million and I'll buy myself a $200,000 condo and live off of $800,000. That's the way a lot of people were thinking. Well, you just lost hundreds of thousands in equity because of a stupid decision a year ago. How much lower is it going to go? I don't know, Anna, but it's kind of scary.
It is. And speaking of the economy.
And I will do an episode on that. I just want to find the right realtor and the right mortgage broker. If I can get those two things lined up properly, I'll do an episode on that and I'll try and get a consensus on whether or not now's the right time to buy, or maybe it's a year from now. They think prices are going to be less than what they are now. Maybe it's 6 months from now. Maybe it's over the holidays. I don't know the answer, but I will track down some experts to do an episode on that.
Oh, that's great. All right. And Julie writes, speaking of the economy, I remember you talking about how a good sign of the economy being bad is fast food restaurants lowering their prices. And I just saw this offer in my McDonald's app for 2 Big Macs for $7, which is wild.
Wow.
But you were first, though. Yeah. And I was just like, maybe they should call this a liberal majority special. So you did call that, though.
Yeah, I mean, all of these things were predictable. Some people message me and they're like, Scott, you were right. The crime is getting crazy. Yeah. And it's not that I'm smart or I just had a lucky guess or anything. I just know from history, again, since the beginning of time, we've known that when people are broke, they turn to crime. Yeah. When the economy's bad, the best way to tell is in the fast food restaurants. When they're lowering their price, especially when they're lowering it as aggressively as they are, Anna, they know people don't have money. And you know what? When those, like that son of a bitch, Tiff Macklem from the Bank of Canada, when he comes out and does his annual report, Tiff doesn't know how much a Big Mac costs, and nor does that factor into any of his equations. He has no idea how the middle class live. McDonald's understands how the middle class lives. Tim Hortons understands how the middle class lives. A&W gets it. When they're lowering their prices, everybody should understand the middle class is struggling.
Yeah, I really like that deal. 2 Big Macs for $7.
Yeah, that's a great deal. You know, I would totally take that.
All right. Christina writes, now I feel the need to say, has a hairstylist of 30 years and a salon owner for 8 years, I despise tipping. I would be happier if my clients purchased the shampoo I recommended. I also know my opinion is not a popular one. Thanks for hearing my 2 cents. Love the pod. My tip to clients is to tell them about Scott Fox After 9.
Thank you. That's great.
Christina.
And congratulations, a salon owner? That's awesome.
Yes.
Hey, listen, she doesn't like the tipping culture. And I think that's a little strange coming from a stylist, but not necessarily coming from the owner of the salon. That's an interesting little gap there. I think everybody who gets offered money is going to take it, but it's not necessarily good for business. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So that's an interesting distinction. Thank you very much for that. I appreciate that input.
Well, Michelle writes, I used to work at the Keg back in the day. They make you tip out a pretty high percentage in the kitchen based on the total bill, not the amount someone left you. So if you get one cheap tipper table, it ruins your night. Most times it's out of your control. You could do the best job and leave a low percent or lump sum regardless of the bill.
Okay, so the tip out is based on your total sales, but obviously that's going to come out of what people actually left you. So if most people are tipping 20%, but somebody tips 10%, that throws off the percentage, and then it's actually coming out of your pocket how much you've got to tip out to the kitchen and the front of house and stuff like that. Huh.
Yeah.
The tipping thing shouldn't be hard. And you know what? It wasn't hard. This works very, very well for like 80 years. It's only in the last couple of years that more people have started asking for tips, and regular customers were like, I don't know, do I tip? Do I not tip? Just tip what you think's appropriate. I think there's another DM coming up, if I remember correctly, at least one. Somebody had a real interesting tip on how you can determine whether or not you have to tip.
Okay, it's actually right now.
Is
it's
it this
from
one?
John.
Okay.
Yeah. My tipping rule. If I ordered standing up, no tip. Pretty much every service I would tip for happens if the service was provided while I was sitting. Haircut, restaurant, etc. If I'm standing up, fast food, no tip.
That's an interesting way to look at it. And I guess, hey, if you're sitting down,
Yeah.
there's a tip. If you had to do that standing up, no tip.
I understand.
That's an interesting way to look at it.
I like that because, yeah, if I'm sitting down getting my hair done, if they wax my eyebrows, I tip on all those services. It's true. But if I'm helping you make a sub, like, what the heck, man?
It's true.
What the heck?
Interesting idea. That's a great tip. I'm sure there's going to be people that get something out of that one.
All right. Well, Pavel writes, hey, Scott, how are you? I'm listening to your podcast about the Don Cherry, and I'm just wondering, what is the Order of Canada? What does that mean? Can you explain it to me? Thank you very much.
You know what? I should have done that the other day, and I thought about it when I was driving home. I am so hard on myself sometimes when I listen to the pod driving home, because it's always
You do listen.
oh, I should have said this. I said that wrong. I know I made a mistake there, and it keeps me up at night sometimes because I don't want to put out stuff like that. And I want to be my best every time I can be. I should have explained what the Order of Canada was when I was talking about it. The Order of Canada is Canada's highest civilian honor. And you will get the Order of Canada when you get the Order of Canada, that's like formal recognition by the federal government. And it's a fairly elite group. They just did a round of Order of Canada inductees just yesterday, actually, in Ottawa. A friend of mine, Flavio Volpe, got the Order of Canada yesterday, and well-deserved. He's done some great work on the auto file trying to get a deal done with America. So great. Congrats, Flavio, and everybody who got it. It's decided by... I guess probably decided by the government. It's supposed to be a decision of the Governor General, and you go to Rideau Hall and you get a pin, and that's signifies that you're in the Order of Canada. Really, it's just an award, a recognition by the government, the highest one that we can give outside of being a military member, but not very many people get it.
Yeah, that's
it's pretty cool, though. It is quite the honor for anybody who does.
It is special. Mark writes, hey, Scott, just a random question. Do you still keep in touch with Angelo? And if so, what is he up to these days? Thanks.
Angelo used to be my producer when I was doing mornings at Z1035 before I left to go to work for Chorus.
Okay.
As far as I know, Angelo's doing great. I haven't talked to him, but I follow him on Instagram. I think he's still with his girlfriend. I think he's still living in Ma's basement. I don't know. Still loves his lasagna. Angie's great.
Awesome.
I haven't heard from him in a while, but there's some people that'll you'll always be brothers, and he's one of them.
Oh, that's so nice. All right, Martha writes, I'm dog sitting this week, and the owner suggested I play CBC on the radio when I go out. I mixed it up today with some of your podcasts so the poodle can learn about another point of view. That's cute.
You know what? If you want to leave the pod on for your dog, it's probably one of the nicest things you could do for your dog. Leaving it on the CBC. What are you trying to torture the poor pup? Come on.
Yeah, we have your dog with us in studio right now. He's having a good old time.
He's exhausted, by the way. Yeah. My dog is, he sleeps in bed with me. I don't even mind admitting that. I know some people have a strict rule, no dogs on the bed. I love it. I feel like he deserves it, and I get so much happiness from him that I feel like the least I can do is feed him well and make him comfortable. And if he wants to sleep on the bed, great.
Yeah.
The problem is I've kind of created a monster where he sleeps like a teenager. So when I got up this morning, I went downstairs and I made my coffee, and I'm like, come on, buddy, come on.
Yeah.
No, I had to go up and put the harness on him, put the leash on him, and drag him out of bed because he did not want to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning today.
Amen. I know, buddy. It's tough life, but he's so happy to be here. I'm so happy he's here. All right, we only have a couple more, and this one is from Lauren. Hey, Scott, I noticed you'd been posting clips of Scott Fox After 9, the podcast with you and Anna, and I saw them on your YouTube channel too. Have you thought about uploading the full podcast video there as well? I think a lot of people would watch or listen on YouTube, especially at home on the big screen while cooking or doing things around the house. Just a thought, it could gain traction, bring more subscribers and viewers, and eventually lead to monetization.
It could. Yeah, all those things are true. Hey, if you want, the pod is already on YouTube. You can call it up through YouTube podcasts, and you can stream it through your television or whatever you want. Look for the Scott Fox After 9 playlist, and every day, as soon as it hits Spotify, Apple, Amazon, whatever, it's also on YouTube. So there's that. But I think she wants the actual live video.
Yeah.
What's there now, it's a static image with the audio. If you want live video, I'm almost there, but I'm really picky about how I want it to look. And it's a lot of work that goes into producing that. I mean, this is a career for some people, producing 1 hour of video a day.
But this is, okay, I just got to say, this is a one-man operation. Everything that goes out and is edited or whatever, Scott does it all himself. There's nobody else. It's just you.
Yeah, and you know what? There's just not enough hours in the day to get it done exactly the way I want. But I'll give work credit. They've invested in new cameras and proper lighting, and the studio that I'm working in right now is beautiful. It's great. I think it's actually kind of neat because what I look at when I'm doing the pod, if you look over my shoulder in the camera shot, you can see my screen. So that's a little preview sometimes of what's coming up. Putting full episodes out on video, I will get there. I promise you I will, but I'm not there yet. In the meantime, though, I put out those clips just to offer a little behind the scenes, and maybe something fun happens in the studio, and I think you should see it. I've got full episode videos. I just, until they look the way I want them to look, I'm not going to put them out. But eventually, I will get there. Thank you for doing that, though. I appreciate it. And again, thank you, everybody, for inquiring on YouTube. If you want, again, on YouTube, you just look for Scott Fox After 9. Or now you can tell your smart speaker to play Scott Fox After 9.
Pretty cool.
And it will.
See? I like that. All right. Well, Lizette writes, hey, Scott, I've noticed sometimes you refer to Diana as your girlfriend and sometimes as your wife. Did you get married and not tell us?
Oh, that's an interesting observation. No, we did not get married, but you know when you're with somebody long term and that's not going to change. So I think of her like my wife, and we coexist like husband and wife, but I don't really feel right all the time saying wife until we actually make that official, if we make that official. So I go back and forth. Part of the problem is I'm an adult and I'm in my late 40s. It feels weird to still say girlfriend, and it feels weird for her to say boyfriend.
Yeah.
There really needs to be another word there besides partner, because when you say something like, oh, my partner, half the people think you're gay and you're talking about like a male partner, and that's not what it is. So
how about lover?
No, I'm not going to say lover either. I'll weird my mom out. And hers too. Yeah, listen,
I get it.
We're not married, but we're also we're pretty tight. So
I like that. We're pretty tight.
We're pretty tight. Yeah, we like each other a little bit.
Oh, all right. I was like, if you got married and I didn't know, oh man. All right, here we go. Last one is from Roz. Hey, Scott. I wanted to reach out to say I'm really enjoying the content of this year's pod. I have 2 questions for Friday's DM episode. How is the Italian coming along, and can you say a sentence on air? Also, I think you are running for the mayor of Burlington to start, and then I'm sure you will work your way up from there. Keep up the great work, Roz.
Roz, thank you. The Italian is going well. I practice a lot. But the thing is, I'm not confident in the accent because Italians don't just talk. They're very, very animated when they talk. And I set out to learn Italian because my girlfriend, my wife, is Italian, and so is her whole family. And I thought that would be a neat way for me to be able to bond with them as if I understood what they're saying around the dinner table.
That's so nice.
So I am making an effort to learn Italian, and I'm happy to tell you, I understand more now than I don't. Like, I can at least get the gist of what the conversation is and pick out enough that I understand what the conversation is. So I'm getting better. I'm not good at speaking it, though. And part of the problem is I say things in a very... Well, I talk in Italian the way I talk in English, and it's I use proper grammar and things like that, and it doesn't really translate all that well. You need to really let go and let that accent fly when you're going to talk Italian, and I'm not there yet. So, no, I'm not going to say anything for you in Italian on air, but I will tell you that I am learning, and when I'm comfortable with it, I'll do the Italian. I'm also going to have to learn French, too, and I'm kind of there, but I need a little bit of work on that as well. My Portuguese is almost non-existent, but...
Well, stick with me, kid. I'll help you out.
All right.
I'll tell you all the things you shouldn't know.
What was the second question? Oh, am I running for mayor of Burlington?
And this is just the start, they believe, that you're going to move up.
I have more to give, and I do this pod every day as a service because I think that people are misinformed or not as informed as they could be. And the mainstream media, they're trying everything they can to lead people in a certain direction. And people deserve to hear the counter narrative. They deserve to hear the full context of what our politicians are saying and understand the ramifications of a story. And they leave out the parts they want to leave out for their reasons. Well, I'm going to throw them back in when I do it here on this pod. That's why I do it every day. But I can do more. And I did say I'm going to run, and I will. Thing is, I can't quite say for what yet. The number one reason I can't is because I'm not going to give my opponent an advantage. I'm not going to give them any extra time to prepare. But when the time is right, I will announce for you what I am running for. I'll tell you, being the mayor of Burlington, I love the city to bits. I think it's one of the greatest cities in Canada, and I think it's got one of the best waterfronts in Ontario.
Agreed.
A lot of people don't understand how great Burlington is as a city and really great things happening in the city. Am I running for mayor? You've just got to keep listening, friends. When the time is right, I will tell you what I am running for, but I'll tell you I'm doing it for the right reasons. I'm not giving up my day job because it keeps me humble. It keeps me connected with the middle class. It keeps me connected with people like you, Anna, that have different concerns. And I'm just not going to do that. The politicians that get into it because they want to make money or they want the power or they want the clout for their resume, I'm not interested in any of that. I just want my friends and neighbors to have a better life, and that's why I'm going to do it. And the best way to do that is to cut the cost of living. So that is going to be my only goal and my only motivator, and I don't intend to do it for long. I'm probably going to set the example by imposing a term limit on myself. And whether I feel like I've got more to do or not, when my time's up, I'm out. And somebody else will have to come in and pick up the legacy that I create. So I shouldn't call it a legacy. We should do it first, and then I'll call it a legacy.
But it's something to look to build towards, right?
Yeah. So I'm putting a lot of different things together. When the time is right, I will announce what I'm running for, and I'm doing it for the right reasons. So everyone, please know that before I even get to that announcement.
And please don't ask me because I don't know.
It's amazing. People are asking.
They ask me, and I say, I literally don't know. And then I say, I don't know. And then they come back with a theory, and I continue, and I say, I still don't know.
Yeah. I mean, hey, nobody knows. Myself, my girlfriend, my campaign manager, silent date guy, and a few other people know, but that's about it.
That's it. I'm not one of them. Don't ask me.
Anna, have a great weekend.
Thank you. You too. And go Rock Go.
Thank you. Rock game tonight. Friends, I appreciate you checking out this Listener DMs episode of Scott Fox After 9. I will have a new episode on Monday, and I will put together that summary episode, kind of like the Coles notes or the cheat sheet of Pierre Poilievre on the Joe Rogan Experience. Enjoy your weekend. If you haven't already, hit subscribe and check out some more music from my good friends Pat, James, and The Whole Truth. They've got a whole bunch of music out there. This song is called Hey Now. See you Monday.
Oh,